All right, we're going to get started. Hi, my name is Jackie McIntosh Shedrick. I am an attorney here in New York, and I'm also the managing director of BOK Creative Filings, which is a company here in New York. And our goal is to encourage people of color to start businesses and do entrepreneurship. Today, we are doing our free live class. It's about understanding New York DBAs, assumed names, and trademarks. I've been getting a lot of questions about it in the last maybe 2 to 3 months. At least once a week, I get asked about this. So I decided to do a live class on it. These slides and this video will be available in 24 hours for anyone who signed up. So don't worry if you were unable to come to the live show or to the live class. The live class is really just in case you have questions and things of that nature. So we're going to get started. My name is Jackie McIntosh Shedrick. I am a small business attorney here in New York. I'm the owner of BOK Creative Filings. I'm a graduate of Michigan State University College of Law, where I was a valedictorian speaker. I've been a business owner since 2005. I'm a native of Jamaica, Queens, and I'm a huge Mets, Nets, and Giants fan. So we're going to get started. What is a DBA? Well, let's start with what does DBA stand for. DBA means doing business as. A DBA is any registered name that a business operates under that isn't its legal business name. Here in New York, DBAs are more used for partnerships and solo practitioners, or sole proprietors. A DBA is not a business structure. Keep that in mind. So it's not an LLC, it's not an S Corp, it's not a C Corp. It's not something that's going to protect your personal assets if you are subject to liability. It's really just a fictitious name that you're going under. Filing a DBA in New York for sole proprietors and general partnerships. This is not for LLCs. This is not for C Corps, not for S Corps. Excuse me. This is only for sole proprietors and general partnerships. So it's really easy here in New York, especially if you're in Queens or in Brooklyn. All you do is get a business certificate. You can buy that anywhere. You actually can get one online for free. You go, you complete the business certificate, you put whatever name you want to go by, and then you pay $100 fee to the county, and that's it. Very easy. If you are a partnership, you're going to do a business certificate for partnerships. So that's the only difference. But it's really easy. Just go down to the county, pay $100, and you're done. So instead of going by, for example, instead of going by Jackie McIntosh, if I want to go by Money Made in Law, that I can just go down there and say, hey, I would like to do business under Money Made in Law, and I would pay the business certificate. I would get a business certificate and pay the $100 fee. And just to let you guys know, for Queens, you just really go to the courthouse and go to the Queens County, and there's a county clerk. You go downstairs, or it's on the main floor. You go submit your form. It's $100. There is a, sorry. Oh, sorry, guys. It's my, sorry. I don't know what just happened there. All right, so it's $100. You go. No, it's not a big deal. The one off of Stockton Boulevard, if you go to the corner store across the street from there, there's a guy who sells the forms. They're like maybe $10. You do have to get it notarized. But again, getting something notarized is it's not that much money. Example, meet Jay. Jay is a DJ in Queens, New York. He is a sole proprietor and he wants the name of his business to be called BCF DJ Services. What must Jay do if he wants to use another name for his business instead of his personal name? Jay must complete a business certificate form and pay $100 to Queens County Clerk. So it's really easy. It's, very simple. Anyone can do it. Don't hire someone to do that for you. You can do that yourself. So let's talk about filing a DBA, or a certificate of assumed name, in New York for LLCs, corporations, and LLPs. Incorporated businesses in New York must file their certificate of assumed name with the New York Department of State. The following businesses are the type that you would consider incorporated. So corporations, nonprofits, professional corporations, that's more doctors, attorneys, things like that. Limited partnerships, LLPs, limited liability companies, things like that. Generally, it's pretty easy to do. First, you got to start doing a search. So you're going to do a search for the name that you want to use on New York Department of State website. Really easy. You want to make sure that you try any name that sounds similar. So if you want to do, let's say, BCF DJ services, you want to make sure that there's different spellings of DJ. So it's DJ or DEEJAY, different things like that. The words cannot make it seem like you are a government agency. So you want to stay away from words like FBI, Treasury, Department of something. I know some people try to do a play on words. If you can, stay away from that, because they won't allow you to get the name. Restricted words, such as bank, attorney, university. Reason being is that word, obviously like attorney, you have to get additional paperwork to make sure that you actually have the licensing for it, or that you actually have the pass the bar, something like that. So you want to stay away from, like, let's say you sell CBD oil. You don't want to say a CBD doctor or CBD medical office or things like that, because you probably won't be seen, or they won't allow the name to be given to you. Next, we're going to go over trademark in a little bit. Make sure you do a trademark search of your name, because you don't want to go through all this trouble of getting a name just to know that someone else has it or is using it as a trademark. And then you did all this work and paid all this money just to have a trademark issue. Do a trademark search. Second step is filing your certificate of assumed name. This is really easy. All you're going to do is go on New York State Department of State. You're going to get a certificate of assumed name. Line 1 will obviously be your name, but you're going to put line 2, your business entity. Line 4 is going to be the street address of where you're located. Line 5 is the counties that you intend on doing business in. So if you intend on, let's say you have a storefront in Queens, you're going to put Queens. Wherever you intend on doing business in New York, that's where you're going to do it. And it's really easy. Like, literally just go to the website, get the certificate of assumed name, complete the form. Now, here's the thing. You can either, you can submit it, you can mail it, or I recommend faxing. And the reason why I recommend faxing is that it's really easy. Right now, New York State is one really backlog, unfortunately, because they had to cut their staff in half due to COVID. So it's really just faster to fax. And I would actually pay for the expedited fee of $25, because if you wait and just do it the regular way, it's going to be about 6 to 8 weeks before you're processed. Where if you pay $25, you're processed within 24 hours. So money pays. Now let's talk about, this is weird. Let's talk about payment and fees. In New York, a certificate of assumed name is only $25, which is great. However, and I'm not trying to say this because, I do LLCs and things of that nature. However, for some reason in New York, corporations have to pay an additional fee for each county they do business in, where they want to do an assumed name. And it's weird. I don't know why it's not for LLCs and it's only for corporations, but it's a big difference in cost, like huge difference in cost. So on top of the $25, for each county you want to use your assumed name in to do business, you have to pay $100. So for every county in New York, let's say you want to do, you plan on doing business throughout, and you want to use that assumed name throughout the state of New York, it's going to be $1,950, which is expensive. Now, this is not true for LLCs. I can't tell you why there's a difference. I don't know why it matters, but it does. So keep that in mind if you haven't formed a structure yet and you plan on doing, using a different name other than your LLC name, if you have, or your corporation name, because it can cost you a lot more money doing that process. So example, meet J2B. J2B has a rental property called JBM LLC. However, she wants to advertise her LLC under J2B Homes. What must J2B do? J2B must file a certificate of assumed name with the state of New York and pay $25. And she also should do a trademark search. So it's really simple, but it's something you must do, because what you don't want to happen is, let's say you have an LLC and that's what the state knows you as. They know that this LLC is separate from this individual. Now, let's say you decide, let's say like J2B Homes or whatever. Let's say she wants to start advertising J2B Homes for her JBM LLC. Well, the state of New York doesn't see J2B Homes as an LLC. They see as J2B Homes as being part of J2B. So there's no real separation of liability. They don't see J2B Homes under JBM LLC until the paperwork is properly filed. So make sure you do that for your protection. And you can have multiple assumed name certificates under one LLC. So you can have as many as you want. However, I'm not a fan of it, because if you bring, let's say Jay has an LLC and he owns two rental properties, rental property red, rental property crimson. And let's say rental property crimson has a DBA, rental property cream, has a DBA. If one of those homes gets sued, then the other one's going to be up for liability as well. So you put yourself up for a lot of liability having multiple DBAs under one LLC. So keep that in mind. Now, trademark. This question has come to me multiple times. So definitely take your time with this. Again, this is going to be, it's going to be uploaded, and I'm going to send people a link to this video. I really tell people they probably should get an attorney to do their trademark. However, it's not impossible to do yourself. You can do it, but you have to take your time and be really good at attention to detail. It's not impossible. So I don't like telling people, oh, you always need an attorney to do something. You don't. But if you mess up, it's really an expensive mess up. So just pay attention. According to the United States Office, a trademark is a word, phrase, symbol, and or design that identifies and distinguishes the source of goods of one party from the others. So it's pretty much saying that this name represents my good and my service, and that it's giving notice to other people saying they can't use my name that I have trademarked to use for their good or their service. So, how to trademark a company's name. Trademarking your company's name is not as simple as filing an LLC. It takes more time than you think it does. And it takes a hell of a long time for it to process, actually. Sometimes it can take anywhere from 6 months to a year. It can be complicated. If you try to rush through the process, you'll mess up. If you make a mistake, it's really expensive to fix, because each class, we're going to go through this, but each class of a trademark is like $250 minimum. So let's say you do the trademark in the incorrect class, you pay $250 for a trademark you're not going to use, and you're still going to have to trademark for the goods that you need. So it can be really expensive. And let's say you make a mistake and then you want to get an attorney to fix it, the attorney's going to charge more fixing your mistake than it would have been to just do it correctly, because they have to backtrack and undo whatever you did. and make sure you get yourself right. So just keep that in mind when you're doing your trademark. Step 1, you need to do a search. You need to go on USPTO's website and do a search, but it's really, really important that you search within the class that you are going to use your good or service. And the trademark website has 45 trademark classes, which are pretty much just categories on the marks. And they're just split into different types of goods, but you want to make sure there's no trademark for the reason why you're going to use your name. So let's say you're going to use like Coca-Cola, for example. Coca-Cola is going to have a trademark in beverages, probably merchandise now, things like that. But they're not going to have a trademark in like plants or in like home goods, I would think. So make sure that you're searching in the right category. Step 2, the trademark application. Once you've cleared, you've done your research, you know that the name is available in your class, you're going to have to do this trademark application. This trademark application is really complicated. There's 10 parts to it. You can see what they are, but it's generally like name and address of the applicant. That's easy. The citizenship, legal entity, you can probably have that. Definitely the name and address for future correspondence. That's really important because they're gonna need someone to communicate with while your application is processing. And you wanna make sure that any notices you receive, you make sure that you are responding to them. So it's really very, very important. Also with regards to the applications, you're going to talk about what class you're going to use it in. Is it being used already? If it is being used already, they're going to ask for some type of proof that is being used already. So that can be either a picture, a screenshot of a website. It's going to be complicated, but go over those 10 parts of the application. It's really, really detailed. You want it to go step by step to make sure you're doing it correct. Now, basis for filing. This is really important. There are 2 bases for filing. There's either the trademark is in use in commerce already, or you intend on using the trademark in the future. Now, use in commerce is easy. Let's say you have a name, Able Hands. I don't know what, that's just coming off the top of my hands. So let's say you want to do a trademark for Able Hands. That's just an example. It's already in use. There's already a website for it, things of that nature. So let's say if someone wants to do a trademark for that, all they would have to do is do an application saying it's being used already, and they're going to show proof that it's being used because they have merchandise, they have advertising, they have a website, they have social media. They can show that it's being used already. Now, intent to use, that's a little different. It's almost like saying like, oh, just put a hold on it until I use it. And if they allow you to do that, that's great. However, you're going to have to use that trademark within a particular amount of time. So you're going to have to, eventually show evidence that you did use a trademark. Just keep these in mind when you do the application and try to figure out what proof you're going to provide in the application of how it's being used. The easiest way really is website and screenshotting that, any advertising, screenshotting. It doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be real. 3, file the trademark application. You're going to file it online using the trademark electronic application system, TEAS. And there's 2 types. One is really the simplified version of it. It's called TEAS Plus, and it's $250 for a single class. So if you want to trademark to multiple classes, that's additional fees. However, it's very straightforward, and it's more likely that you won't be rejected with this type of system. However, when you're doing a description of your good or service, you have to use whatever is in that system. So you can't really be descriptive or use your own language. You just have to use what is provided in that system. With regards to the standard version, the filing class is $350. However, you're not restricted by the wordage of the system. You can actually put in your own words to describe your good or service. So depending on how unique your good is or your service will help you decide what system to use. If it's something that's very broad and it's something that they're most likely going to have, use the T plus. If it's not, and it's something that you need to go into detail about, use a standard. Step 4, after you do the trademark, so we do the search, we do the application, we make sure we have the basis for the application, then we follow with whatever system we want to use, either plus or standard. We're going to confirm. So once your application is processed, you're going to get a receipt. Hold on to the receipt because it's going to have an identification number, so you can check back on the status of your trademark. Trademarks take a very long time. Like it's unfortunate, but it can take anywhere from 6 months to a year. And I would think with COVID, that is actually going to take longer. That just happens. There's nothing you can do about it. In the meantime, while you're waiting for it to be processed, you can put TM at the bottom, any of your symbols, name, whatever your trademark, need to let people know or to give notice to the world that I did file an application for the trademark. And you're gonna want to check on the status every couple months. Don't go crazy. Like if you filed on a Monday, don't go check back on Wednesday. Nothing would have changed. Check back, in a few months. Check back periodically. The biggest thing you want to do is make sure that whatever address you gave them, that is always current, and if something changes, you let them know, because they're going to send you, they may have questions about it, and you want to make sure that they're able to reach you and that you're able to actually return whatever information they ask for. All right, Jada B. Jada B now wants to trademark her name. What must Jada B do? Jada B must do a trademark search on the USTPO website in her selected classes. She must complete the detailed application and pay the fee for whatever amount of classes she decides to do. Thank you guys so much for this web class. I appreciate you guys listening. If you have any questions, I'm really easy to reach. Either you can contact me at my email or Facebook or BRN. I'm generally everywhere on there, just being silly. But if you have questions, I'm going to end my screen share, or attempt to at least. Chat to. Okay, what do you do? Business online, where should you put it? I would probably get my logo redone and put it there, or if it's in the heading, I would probably do it. I'd probably do it in the heading, but to be honest with you, I'd probably add it to my logo. I think that would be the safest way of doing that. Are we still? Are there any other questions about it? I know it's just you and me, Sharima, so.
Oh, okay, I have a question. So sure. The address for this, should that be this, because I used a different address for my LLC. Mm-hmm. This address should be an address where I actively receive mail?
Yeah, it should be where you actively receive mail. So let's say you use an address for your LLC purposes because New York and the publication requirement. So you use the Albany address. You wouldn't want to use that. You want to use the address that you receive mail to every day. Even if it's your residential address. just something. Like
Okay.
I would use my residential address.
Okay.
Oh, well, I
And
guess
then,
now we use the office address, but because I'm here.
Mhm.
But I definitely would probably, or even get a PO box. I know when I was using one, it was like $25 a month or so. I know I also use iPostal, which is really good as well, and it's like $9 a month, and they'll just send you any mail you get. The only problem with that is that because U.S. mail is being weird because of COVID and whoever Trump put in charge of the postal system, it's really slow right now. So if it's anything that's time sensitive, that could be a concern. But anything that comes will probably only be like a 30 days. So you'll have 30 days to respond. But, if it were me, I would definitely use an address. I get mail every day.
Okay. So
Yeah.
all of these things that you named, if you have an LLC, this is after you do your LLC, you should do these next steps.
Yes. So if it were me, I probably would come out the gate with the name I'm going to use. However, I understand why people do assume names and things like that. I would do the LLC. I would do the trademark search first of whatever name I'm thinking about doing. And then I would do the assumed name certificate. So once I know that no one has my name, I would probably do the trademark application, and I probably would do the assumed name. I'd do it in that way, but it's, you can do one or the other. I mean, let's say it comes back like the trademark, people come back and say, you can't use that name. Well, luckily it's just an assumed name. You can change it. It's not that expensive if it's an LLC. You didn't invest that much money into it. It's not that bad. So you can do it either way. Like, you don't want to wait for the trademark people to make a decision because it takes almost a year. So go ahead with the assumed name. The worst case scenario is that you have to change it. That's it.
Okay.
But I think if there's no more questions, I'm going to go. But thank you so much. Appreciate it, Sharima. That's my sorrow. Appreciate you logging on. Again, this class is going to be on YouTube, but it's going to be in a private link. So I'm only going to send it to people who are on my private newsletter. Also, look out for my new newsletter. It's going to be pretty much just a daily, daily notes about business and small business and different things that are going on in Queens. I'm really interested in these upcoming city council races. I'm going to be having different candidates come on and talk and see what they're going to do for small business. I think now with COVID, we need a lot more. If you're a part of how do we sign up for the newsletter? If you signed up for the class, you're signed up for the newsletter. So just expect to see that. It'll be nothing small, but I want to make sure that I'm really focused on giving you all really good content. So, you don't have to go to PLK to do stuff. It'd be nice, but you don't have to. If you need help, though, I'm here, always accessible. But it's generally going to be covering like candidates. It's going to be covering different things I think are important. I'm actually going to break down this web class into sections that are a little bit more digestible. So it'll be things like that. If you have questions, always don't hesitate to give me a call, text me, email me. I think everyone who is part of this or who signed up for this web class knows I'm pretty accessible. So don't hesitate. But if there isn't any more questions, I think I'm gonna skedaddle. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a good evening. Sharima. All right.